Very noticeable improvement in Manchester United's form over the last 3 seasons. They're on 66 points now, and each of the last 2 seasons, that's what they finished with, 66, and they've got 6 games to go. So that just shows how much better they're going. We were purring about Cavani, weren't we, watching that?
Really? You know what, just to watch him as a former centre-forward, he's just a natural centre-forward. He does all the simple things well. He takes the ball in and he spreads it wide, he gets in the box. Yeah. Doesn't complicate it. If there's a challenge to be won, he'll get on with it. He doesn't want any plaudits for it. He just does his job very, very well. And I think Man United players like to see him up top so they can go, wow, chip it in. Don, as a midfield player, he knows you can chip it in and go buy his midfield player and gamble. That's what you want as a midfield player. He's great to watch, and I hope he gets another season.
I love it. He's younger than Jamie Vardy, so he should...
One more season.
More season. I loved it, most of all, when he didn't even touch the ball. Yeah. With a little dummy for the Greenwood goal. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's great awareness.
He's got some ability, Cavani. Like Dion said, you know, he's I don't want to say basic because he's just really, really exceptional at what he does, but he keeps it simple. Yeah. You don't see him try to do a Cruyff turn. If he's got an over, he'll over. If he needs to get older for his midfield players, he does it. He gets it on the back foot, the half turn, he plays it out to Mason Greenwood. He's an exceptional centre-forward. If you're Man United in the development of Mason Greenwood, I think he's a must.
Definitely.
I think he's a must for next season. This is great work from Bruno, the way he has got the vision. See Bruno in that position, he's got the arrogance.
Look at that from Cavani.
Yeah, just the over.
Oh, sorry, it's Fernandes done it.
Yeah, just a little over. But Cavani was just heavily involved in all the play. And this is the sweet spot of Greenwood. You know it's on his left foot, the weight's good. You never, ever think for a moment he's going to miss that. And he will be learning this every single day playing with Cavani.
You see, if you look at Greenwood there, he doesn't look at the ball at the goal once.
No.
Watch the ball, get a good connection, and you will score. His concentration levels are really high when it comes to striking the ball towards goal. Mason Greenwood, very good.
Yeah, and that's slightly what happens. He's got 15 Premier League goals for Manchester United as a teenager, so you would imagine he'll go past Wayne Rooney at some Marcus Rashford as well. And when you're talking about just get a good contact on it, that's what he does with the second one as well, Greenwood, isn't it?
Yeah,
just get a good contact. This one takes a big deflection off Jack Cork, but
if you're not brave enough to take that shot or back yourself to hit the target, then you're never going to get those ricochets or those deflections. Marcus Rashford, I think he's on 21 now. I think 21 goals this season, something like that. If he was to gamble a little bit more, what I mean by head down strike, I think he'd be on 30, 35. That's what's going to take Marcus Rashford to the next level. Take a little leaf out of the young lad.
Yes.
Mason Greenwood, gamble.
There's an instinct, though, isn't there? As a centre-forward, you've got an instinct.
Yeah.
I think Greenwood's got it.
He's got it.
He's got it in his stomach to be ruthless.
Both sides as well, left and right foot.
Rashford's a bit different, where he's like a little bit like Martial, where he's quite happy doing the flicks and the tricks, and he's getting his assists and he's getting his fair share.
He's getting his great goals, isn't he, Don?
Yeah. But when you look at Cavani, and you can see when Cavani scores, I love Cavani's face when he scores.
Right. Means everything in the world, doesn't it?
Angry man. It's like he wants to score. That gives him the most pleasure out of anything in life is scoring goals. You can see it in his face. He's an angry man. And I think Greenwood's learning off him.
At Manchester United, which is, are they a good team or do they have good players? I don't think anybody's quite worked that out yet.
They've definitely got good players, that's for sure. And I think that the only thing that Ole's left to do now, because since Sir Alex has gone, he has been the best manager there. And you know, I think the results and where Man United are now, you have to say they're going to probably get Champions League, and they may get the trophy depending if they can carry on playing like they're playing, especially Pogba. But you know, I believe that they are still a lot of good individuals, and when they put it together, they look like a very good team. You know, that's how it is. But like that's the only thing that's left.
So can they be better? That's my point. Are they a group of players who are playing well when each individual performs their role? I mean, I suppose that's the same for anybody. But is there something that they could get out of that squad? Is there more from them, do you think?
I think so, for sure. I think the problem, what I see is United have is when they do actually play well as a team, you'll have one of their stars, per se, that play well, and the other of them will be average. You never really get all of the stars performing consistently well every game. It's always kind of rotated through. Bruno and Rashford might play well, but then the others might not. Whereas if you look at some teams, per se, like City, you'll have the front four all play well. And then the defence play well. Whereas Man United is always like chop and change. And I think to get consistency, you all need to be on the same wavelength for a longer period of time. And I think that's a key thing that Man United have missing is consistency and performing at that high level.
And when we're talking
together.
about a team as well, to be honest, Sean, it's like Man United were the ones with that. Talk about their top players performing week in, week out. You speak to them, you speak to the guys, and what the levels that they had to get to mentally and physically to make sure that they could sustain a consistent style of play that literally blasted teams when we used to play against them. And that is something that they've got to get back to.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one to put your finger on, Carl, and you see more of Manchester United than anyone. To try and explain what it is that's missing in a season that's been very good for Manchester United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has an excellent record as a Manchester United manager, certainly in compared to recent years. But it's almost like the best teams look like they're joined by magnets.
Yes.
Almost. They look like they're all connected, and sometimes that isn't the case with Manchester United.
There's this term United use in their coaching called working the space. So that, at the top level of football, it's not so much about talent, but it's about can you find the space in the pitch and execute moves quickly enough to get the goal.
Not about talent because they're all talented.
Yes.
Not about talent as in anyone can go in
No.
there.
But at a certain level, everyone can do one touch,
Yeah.
two touch, left foot, right foot, and take down balls from the air and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's all about can you manipulate the space and close off the space and do certain things. Real Madrid were very good against Liverpool last night because they just went, right, we'll just shut off these areas and Liverpool can't run. So I asked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about this after they beat Sociedad, and I said, how do you make sure you work the space properly? And he said it comes from the ball, which I sort of raised an eyebrow and went, interesting. Because if you talk to many other managers, they'd say it works with your off-the-ball movement, how your players move in relation to the ball. So Pep Guardiola is all about högre position. So possession as a tool, but also you all need to stand in certain areas in relation to the ball, so that way you drag players out of position. United don't quite do that until they score a goal, which is that weird thing. This is why they're so good at comebacks, because when they score the goal, then the other team has to come onto them, and then United know the space is behind them, which is a very weird way to coach, especially at this top level. Most teams of United or Liverpool, Manchester City State, if they play against a team that knows they're going to sit deep, what you'll get is your wide men will stand really, really wide, which pulls away the fullbacks, and that means the centre-backs is just two versus your attacking players. So that's how you work the space and create the space. United don't do that unless Paul Pogba is sat deep, because Paul Pogba is the only player that can hit the passes left and right, which is why when Pogba was in the side up until January, it was looking good. Pogba gets injured. Fred can't make that pass. I've seen him. You try so hard, you can't make that pass all the time. And it's that sort of thing of, I'm not sure if Solskjaer's doing this because he doesn't know the system, or I'm not sure Solskjaer's doing this because he's got the players that can't quite do it. We're talking about Manchester United. They still don't have a right winger, for example, right? They've played Greenwood there. They've played Dan James there, who is best off on the left. Marcus Rashford's gone there sometimes. And it could be as simple as they get a right winger and then it all clicks. Or they get another striker. And this is also why Cavani's so important, because they don't necessarily have the structure and movement in attack until Cavani's there, and then he's yelling at Greenwood, play it first time. Because Martial is, while he's good with the ball at his feet, he's a bit quiet. And it's this very weird bit where the players sometimes do the processes when most clubs are, it's the process first and then the players.
Yeah, that's quite old school. That sort of on-pitch coaching
Yes.
amongst the players. That feels like, but it feels as though football isn't at that point at the moment. But you mentioned Paul Pogba, and when he's on form, he's so much fun to. He doesn't always play in that slightly more defensive. He does, like for example, against Spurs, he played a bit further forward, didn't he?
I tell you, and it's funny because Carl done a great piece in The Athletic about Paul Pogba not being the guy that's going to drag you up by your bootlace. He's the garnish. He's the one that when you want to finish it off, you put Paul Pogba in that area of the field, and he is going to open your teeth. He's going to open them up because he's got so much ability, so much quality, so much vision, so much. He's just a fantastic player. And when he's playing like this, Man United always play well. So you think to yourself, well, this is the way you've got to have him. This is where you've got to have him. And you look to where Mourinho was playing him and how unhappy he was and how it just wasn't happening because he wasn't playing in a part of the field where he can express himself and do what he does. He's not the guy to grab the team by the bootstraps, like I said. Fernandes can do that. He's the guy that's up there and you say, right, this is really going well. Okay, Pogba, bam, do your stuff.
Yeah, you made a really good point on Pogba, a really interesting point on Pogba, where you said he's not the alpha male that people think he is.
Yes, he's quite chill. It's sort of like a surfer dude. I've described him as your friend who doesn't go to university but still hangs out with you all the time. What's really interesting now in this like little run of form he's got is his on the ball movement. So that goal that was disallowed against Tottenham Hotspur, where he had the ball under his heel, waited a little bit, nutmegged, and then released Cavani. The goal against AC Milan takes it to a similar area, faked the goalkeeper, then put it top corner. We know, if you look at his Instagram enough, he's got a five-a-side pitch in his house. He calls it the PP Park, Paul Pogba Park. And every now and again, he like shows those skills where he's practicing one-on-one against his brothers or other family members. And he practices that, I've got my foot on top of the ball, and I'm going to jockey you 1 or 2 or 3 times, and then I'm going to release it. And I think what's been really interesting the last 3 or 4 weeks is his release is so much quicker than what it used to be. Yeah. So in the 6-1 defeat against Tottenham, he was more or less dawdling on it. And then he was getting caught, and this is why certain people around Manchester United thought he should leave because he was a show pony. Yeah. Whereas now, rather than take 4 or 5 touches, it's 1, 2, look up, release the ball, give it to Greenwood, give it to someone else. His relationship with Cavani already, I mean, they both speak Italian, they both speak French, they both speak Spanish, is already phenomenal. And I
Pick
think
a language.
Yeah.
What should we converse in today?
I believe
that would be
Pogba
amazing.
speaks Portuguese as well now because he wants to have greater communication with Bruno Fernandes as well. And it's that thing of, while he's not the alpha male, he's very clearly loved in the dressing room. And if you can keep him happy and talking to other intelligent football players around him for as long as possible, United will be in the top 4 for years to come.
Absolutely. No danger. Simply because of what he's capable of doing. This is why you're hoping now, because you're looking at Bruno Fernandes, and as good as he is and as influential as he is, you could sometimes see where he seems to be waning a little bit. I thought that they played him very well the other day. What was the game? It was Højbjerg. Just literally just blanketed him to the point where he kicked out. He was lucky and stuff like that. And I think that that's just coming with a bit of frustration, maybe a bit of tiredness. The fact that he's so influential in the team that you have to try and stop him. And if you can slow him down and stop him, because again, you're talking about a player that only needs a moment in the game and the game is on its head. If you could do that, and then you've got Pogba in front of you as well, with Greenwood playing well, with Cavani's movement and that, you don't need too much. You don't need him to be unbelievable for like 90 minutes, like we sometimes see Kevin De Bruyne does. Literally runs the game, every single touch is amazing. He's doing brilliant stuff. I think that he's different in that respect. But like, when you look at Man United and how good they can be, I just think that they're so close to being right there with City and Liverpool. It's not far at all. It's not far away at all.
What makes the difference then?
I think I would say that people would say confidence, but I think a lot of it is consistency, because you can play bad, but if you're consistently doing well as a team, you can grind the results out. Like I watched Chelsea when Tuchel first took over. I don't think they blew any team away, but they was just winning and winning and winning. And I think that just builds confidence. So then the ability and the skills and the trickery comes after, because you've already got the hard work. You're already resilient, so you're not conceding goals. So now you've built like trust in your defence and your team in general. And now it's time for you to express yourself.
And be consistent.
Yes, 100%.
Really interesting. Just looking at the table there, they're 11 points behind Manchester City, but they played a game less. That's 8 points, that gap at the end of the season. They're not quite as far behind as the perception might be this season.
No, you look at the table and you start thinking about all the 0-0 draws, the 3-3 draw against Everton, the Sheffield United defeat plagues me. Just like it was on, possibly, if Pogba had stayed fit, if one thing went the other way. United are, to my mind, maybe a right winger, definitely the holding midfielder. And then depending on if Cavani can be convinced to stay or what happens up front, maybe 2 or 3 personnel away from me going, okay, that's the spine of the team. That's what Solskjaer wants to do. Because I think this is the interesting thing. It's as if Solskjaer's gone to the supermarket and the thing says milk, but do you want soy milk? Do you want almond milk? Do you want this milk? Do you want this milk? What exactly is it that he's going to do? And you might take another season. And you hope that it's not just Solskjaer being very good at the COVID-affected season, and then when everyone else is back and everyone else is retooled, everyone else makes the jump. But because he's made a really good foundation, it's a very nice way for United to be. I think it's better than, like Ian said, better than any time since Ferguson's retired right now to be a United fan.
What can they do in the Europa League?
I think they can win it.
Easy.
I think no disrespect to Granada. I think they will get past them. And then depending on whether it's Roma or Ajax, I think there is enough punching ability to get past them and to get to a final.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, because Arsenal are also in the Europa League and they have a huge game